Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And I want to welcome you to today's presentation, which I've entitled, Which Way Will You Go? There seems to be a great deal of uncertainty today in our economy. Of course, we're all fighting the impact of higher inflation, rising prices associated with that, perhaps higher taxes, and I think even a greater degree of regulation from government in particular. But in all fairness, I want to share with you a newsletter from a newsletter, a piece from a newsletter called the Stansberry Research Economic Newsletter. And it was a note that was written in by one of their subscribers who, like myself, reads their stuff regularly. But I want to share with you something that this lady, Jacqueline G. was her name, I believe, shared with the readers. And I'd like to read that to you first, and I quote, many of your readers seem to have the mindset that life needs to come to a complete standstill until interest rates subside. Yeah, that 3% was nice. I locked in a refinance of my home at slightly more than that. But I entered college when Reagan was president, and when he took office, the prime lending rate was something like 22%. My guaranteed student loan rate, she goes on to say, was 13%. And that was supposed to be a better rate than the bank could offer me. 13%, folks. There was no Amazon yet, and I got gouged like crazy for college textbooks. A few years later, my hubby and I bought our first home. Interest rates were down, and that little starter home cost us just 9.5% interest. But she goes on to say, life didn't stop back then, and it won't stop now. People just need to work and shop and go to school and buy houses and cars, get married and have babies and start businesses and go to the doctor and on, which is, I think, a good point. If the media would just shut up for 5 minutes, people might actually go on living their lives instead of whining about interest rates. Does the government's own debt and the interest on that make a difference now? Of course it does, she says, and you can thank your elected representatives for that. Meanwhile, she says, I have a life to live and I have better things to do than complain about interest rates, which is about as useful as complaining all the time about the weather. End of quote. Now, you may or may not agree with Jacqueline's comments, but I think her comments are noteworthy and worthwhile consideration. Number one, life moves on. We all have a choice. We all have choices to either move forward or to digress. You're always going to move forward or backward. We're never going to stand the same because there's so many other variables that are changing all the time. Number two, in your business, if you can't cut costs, then let me recommend that you boost your efficiencies. I recently met with a client who was apologizing for his labor inefficiencies. I think he just wasn't enforcing any policies within his workforce, but the point is, if the employees themselves cannot fix it with suggestions and recommendations, then I think it's the responsibility of the manager and the owner to step up and boost those productivity levels. The point is this, those items will never fix themselves. And our economy may be challenging today, but we cannot wait until everything is just right. And there's one primary reason for that. Never will things be perfectly right. Never will everything be right. So my suggestion is as follows. Let's build your success plan today based on what we know and move forward. I want to encourage you in that process. Again, I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And I want to thank you for listening. Thank you very much.